closer. Captain Marvel!
Okay. When I started recording.
Oh,
What happened?
I forgot. I don't live in Sri Lanka anymore.
Oh, okay.
I actually choose.
Power cut.
I don't live. What's power cut?
What's a power cut? Okay. Hey guys, we are back. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Atif's in Malaysia now.
Sorry?
Atif's in Malaysia now.
Yeah, and Dwayne's having his tryout at Manchester United at the moment.
Yeah. Let's hope it
And
goes
I
well.
think Farhan is in another side of the world. So
Farhan's in Australia and he's having the time of his life.
yeah, looks like it, certainly. And today we're talking about we're going to be talking about the Chelsea takeover, which you can argue all day whether it's right or wrong, and there's no correct answer really. But the UK government, not the rest of governments, is it doing? You should tell me. It can't be as bad as Sri Lanka, but it's not good as well.
It's not the best, but considering where we've lived before, anything is better.
Anything is better at this moment in time. Yeah. So my thoughts on it: is it the right move to sanction? And the way they have sanctioned, maybe sanctioning temporarily would have been fine, but it looks like it's an inevitable sanction where it's going to affect him in the long run. And the sanctions haven't been the right sanctions which have been implemented in terms of it. It seems like it was more than Roma Abramovich. It was like intending to put Chelsea through some suffering. So a lot of us know it's not.
Isn't there reduction being discussed as well for illegal
The
funding?
thing is, there's no money in the club, so whether they can get to the end of the season, because Chelsea roughly spend £1 million or more each match day,
Right.
and with only half the tickets being sold, 28,000, the season ticket holders amount, it's not going to be enough for them to get enough money for their running expenses. Sorry?
Chelsea has a max capacity of 56,000, right, at Stamford Bridge?
No, I doubt it's 50. It's like 45.
Okay.
And they want to expand it to 60,000. So the stadium developing plan will be put to a halt because Abramovich was the one intending to develop that. And that's put a halt. Dwayne, your thoughts on it? Do you think it was the right move?
Well, if you keep all of the external factors out of the discussion and you focus solely on football and don't think of anything else, then Roman Abramovich is hands down the greatest football owner in history. I mean, the levels he's done at the club. He came in, he bought Chelsea for £150 million, I think. He spent £135 million in his first transfer window. If you adjust that for today's inflation, I saw this video today. If you adjust that, but in his opening transfer window, he spent over £500 million on players. And if you speak solely on the football side, you have to feel for Chelsea fans because they've been blessed with a brilliant owner. You can argue some of the decisions they made, sacking managers, are all dodgy, but in the end, he's always won you trophies. And Chelsea hadn't won a major trophy for a long time before Abramovich came in. And he came in and brought success with him. And you got to feel for the Chelsea fans who will lose out on opportunity.
I think you could say he's the owner who, after he came in, that's what elevated the Premier League's competitiveness to another level.
Yeah, I would agree too, because it used to be Arsene and Sir Alex, and those two used to go head to head, and those two were the richest teams in England. And Arsenal, though they didn't capitalize on being rich, they opened the door for another London team to come in. And Chelsea revitalized the way we see football. I mean, football used to be seen as a game with where you promote your local talent and your youth talent. But Chelsea sort of changed it and flipped it on his head and it said, where's the best players in the world? Let's get them in. And it's changed the way we see football today. And Roman is the sole proprietor of this.
Especially the way you utilize loan players. Revelation, we see that. And yeah, you can't replace Abramovich. It's just going to be a bit less. And yeah, no one's going to pump in that money. So the new owners, the thing with Abramovich was that the club was nearing bankruptcy. They won the billion pound game against Liverpool, and he had to spend money. He had to spend money either way. But when you look at it, over the years he spent 1.5 billion. And if he was to sell the club, he's selling it for £3 billion. He's making a profit of 1.5 billion today.
Technically, I don't really see it as a profit for him.
Yeah, it's not a profit because they've frozen the account.
And also because I don't think he wants to sell Chelsea. So while it might be financial profit, I think his mentality is at the point where he's been stripped of his decision-making power. And like, if you speak about owners, like Chelsea have been blessed for the last 15, 16, 17 years, I think. He came in, about 20 years now. Chelsea have been blessed because look at the owners. United's got the Glazers, who are not hands-on owners, but they don't know a thing about the sport. Arsenal's got Kroenke from US, who's also not a hands-on owner, but doing well as of late. Tottenham's got a good owner. Lever is a very good owner. Newcastle were terrible with Mike Ashley for so long. Chelsea's been an owner who's a hands-on, who wants to play, who wants football, like he lives for football. But I don't disagree with the sanctions because it sort of seemed like Roman was guilty, because as soon as the news escalated about the tragedies going on in Ukraine, condolences to all the people, it automatically seemed like Roman just put his team up for sale, and it wasn't a coincidence. It just happened to be that the moment that the Russian government got outed, I think he was sort of having a oh shit moment that's going to come back to me, and that's why he decided to sell. So I don't disagree with the sanctions, because if he's that open to selling a team that he's never openly expressed about selling before, he knows he's guilty. So I agree that I don't disagree that with what the UK government has done. I mean, it's right that they strip him off because he's using.
Whether it's right or wrong, I don't think there's a correct answer. But the problem is, are these the right sanctions which they have implemented in terms of restricting the fans from attending home matches?
No, I think
it recently got amended. But,
fans.
Sorry?
I think football is all about the fans.
Yeah.
So it was a very confusing decision for them to allow the season ticket holders to keep going on, seeing that they have spent money, but not allow a new flow of income in. It's all a bit confusing because the main shirt sponsor, 3, had announced that they would be dropping Chelsea as well, right?
3, Hyundai, and another 2 more. The marketing companies had discontinued.
It's a bit weird at the same time because they're allowing some marketing companies to drop them, but Nike has stood by them.
Yeah.
And it's all a bit weird because you can see that Chelsea still will make an income with Nike sponsorships, and just the amount the players will bring in, they will make an income. So it's quite weird how these sanctions are being, because they only block off 70% of the potential revenue, but 30% will still come in.
Yeah, that's right. Trivago is sticking by Chelsea as well as Nike. And the other sponsor which has withdrawn latest is Parimatch, the card thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so
it's a bit. I don't think Chelsea has. I don't think the players or the fans deserve this to be happening to them. I don't think any of the questions that any reporters ask Tuchel is warranted, because you can clearly see the man is stressing about it, because everyone just asks him over and over about it. And all he has to say is, look, I understand the situation. I feel sorry, but I don't have any control of it. And I actually genuinely feel sorry for Tuchel, because it's sort of like They've forgotten
He
about
managed, but no other manager would manage this type of situation so brilliantly the way he has.
And you think about everything Chelsea's been through in the last year. I mean,
The
Lukaku,
transfer ban 2 years back.
the transfer,
then-
the sacking of Frank Lampard to win in the Champions League, and you think that's the height. And then Lukaku comes up with the Inter Milan press conference and they're speaking to Italian journalists, and you think it's going badly. Then you win a championship, and then suddenly when you think it's going to be okay, shit hits the fan, and now you're
you got to remember the Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, Christensen running out of contracts. And still getting-
Christensen's already Barcelona.
Yeah, and Chilwell and James getting injured as well. Sorry?
Isn't there a strong rumor that he signed with Juventus?
Jorginho.
No, Rudiger.
Rudiger, no, it's not true because Rudiger is going to wait for more clarity. And I think Rudiger is the type of guy who just wants to focus on the season at this point. He's been doing that all season and he will continue to do that. But Christensen looks very likely to go. Thiago
I think he's
Silva-
already been confirmed as well.
Yeah, Thiago Silva wants to be playing till 40-41. Whether he will do that at Chelsea, I don't know. He's not showing signs of slowing down. Jorginho looks set to leave to Juventus. He's been. I lost you on that. I didn't hear that.
It's not unfortunate that Jorginho wants to leave. I mean, he gets a lot of slander, but people have to remember that this guy controls the tempo of the game. Like, he gets a lot of slander, but he controls it from the back.
The talk is to, it's a Declan Rice time. They're saying we'll see.
I genuinely don't think that's going to happen, because I think this won't be like an official transfer ban for Chelsea, but the next couple of years will look like a depleted transfer resource team. I don't think they'll be able to spend the big bags that they have before.
Yeah, so the latest update is the owners, the new owners. So the new owners, the update was there were 150 inquiries to buy Chelsea, which is a lot. And we're looking at this could be the highest, the most.
How dismiss as not real inquiries, and how many can be shortlisted as the real chances of getting Chelsea?
There's said to be around 30 bids, and they tried to shortlist it to 3, but it seems that there's very competitive bids. And the problem with these bids are the deadline was Friday 9 p.m. UK time. But the problem is, the moment these people put in their bids, they started amending their bids after 9 p.m. Like, for example, the next morning they would say, no, look, more people have entered our consortium and the amount is going to be increased. So, for example, and we've got bids from all over. And there is talk of Roman Abramovich neglecting or not preferring the bankers, like what bankers or families, like the Glazers, for example. Because the example were, because what would bankers would do is like pretty much like Manchester United's model. They would take the money from the bank, invest in it, and they will just take the profits from the commercial side of the listing and pay off those loans. That's going to be the process.
And if you transfer the ownership to a family, it just gets, if one family member is absolutely horrid.
That's the American model. And when the Chicago Cubs own, I don't know, is that basketball or is that NFL?
Baseball.
Okay. No. Okay. So apparently that's owned by the Ricketts family, one of the richest out there. And I think I lost you.
Sorry, I've lost you for a second.
And apparently, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I think I'm back in.
So the Ricketts family, there's said to be a protest. I've been in these Chelsea groups and communities in Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. And the Chelsea fans are getting ready to protest the same way they protested for the Super League. That same fan party has said that they will protest. They're waiting for official news or from a close source that the Ricketts family have made to the final shortlist. If they have made, the Chelsea fans will protest. And there's been over 500,000 tweets saying no to Ricketts over the last 2 days, because the Ricketts were guilty of openly saying they are against Muslims And Chelsea is one of the
Right.
clubs with the largest Muslim fan bases and with 4 core Muslim players in their team in Kante, Malangsa, Hakim Ziyech, Antonio Rudiger, all being
Yeah,
Muslim.
Tony.
So they worry for them, especially Rudiger, the way he has performed. They're not going to let anyone be against him. And they love Ziyech because of the magic he produces.
Well,
And they're very
obviously,
cautious of that.
you would say no to.
Yeah.
I think obviously they would have to keep into account the
Yeah,
external
and
factors.
their ownership model, or the way they've been handling the Chicago Cubs, has not been exceptional at all for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So that's, but they're saying they are favorites to make it to the final shortlist. Besides that, we have former Liverpool chairman, the man who helped cater the acquisition by Fenway Sports Group, the FSG of Liverpool, Sir Martin Broughton. He is being linked with a consortium. They are saying he will make it to the final shortlist. The other shortlist is coming. The other candidate is a South Korean consortium backed by London real estate entrepreneur Nick Candy. They're saying that bid is
Nick can.
2 billion, but what he's been doing is he's not just bought the South Koreans, he's bringing in a very global consortium with not just the Koreans, but he's bringing in people from other parts of the world, because he says Chelsea is a club with a fan base around the world. We should make this a global consortium. Yes, too many cooks do spoil the soup, but it'll be interesting to see how that will work. He is a Chelsea fan, a lifelong Chelsea fan.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that the benefits you get with Nick Candy is that he is an out and out Chelsea fan.
Yeah,
And
and he also
especially,
wants to include fan ownership stake. So separately, Dwayne, besides the major takeover, we've been also getting fan consortiums setting up 10%, like what John Terry has initiated, because they want to keep that, that. So there's not going to be much control, but it's just a matter of what they're having a say in the meetings and stuff.
well, if Nick Candy gets a different bunch of consortiums, who does the main decision-making power fall onto?
The representative of the club will be Nick Candy. The decisions will be running through him, but the money, everything will be coming in mostly from the South Korean consortium.
I've rumors that PSG owners would look to buy Chelsea because of their failures in Paris.
But they're still looking at the PSG thing, because I doubt Nasser Al Khelaifi will let go of that club so easily, especially
He's
after the money is spent. Yeah.
after
The
football teams.
the Saudi media group, Dwayne, it had just come. News had just come 2 hours ago that they have not made the final shortlist officially, because the spokesperson had mentioned it on Twitter. We will continue to bleed blue, but we have not made the shortlist. So the news is just developing who's made the shortlist or not. It's sad because they said they were willing to put 200 million immediately for the next summer and immediate future, and they were the most valued as well. Maybe it's because of no plan. Because no matter how much money you have, if you don't have a proper plan, Roman is going to say no.
You can see what happened with United. They had all the money in the world, but no plan, and they had 4 different managers
Yeah.
play 4 different. So that's the worst thing that could happen.
There was a Turkish guy who last week funnily said, the talks are 90% done. I'm going to purchase the club and we're going to wave the Turkey flag in London. Then apparently he had emailed the proposal to the wrong email address and missed the deadline.
How can such level of incompetence be allowed in such high financial positions?
Yeah. And the most interesting consortium is Todd Burley and Hansborg Swish. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Right.
Todd Burley is he's someone who is not well heard of, but he has been a minority stake holder of the LA Dodgers. And the LA Dodgers, ever since he has taken over, have been in the playoffs every year, is what we have seen. And he has a sports background. He's been willing to put 2.4 billion, but also he has amended his bid 3 times since submitting the bid on Friday 9 p.m. He has amended it 3 times, saying the initial bid was at 2.2 billion pounds. Then he has raised it up to 3 billion, saying he's getting more parties in with more money. and he
There's
is
just one problem with bringing all these American Donnies in is because
he's an American, but the money is mostly coming in from the Swiss guy.
yeah, I do understand that a lot of there's a wealthy, vast amount of Americans that could actually afford to buy football teams, but the reason that a lot of them don't is because sports in America works extremely differently to sports outside the rest of the world. Sports in America are run by franchises in structured leagues where all 30 teams have similar amounts to spend. Whereas if an American were to purchase a team like Chelsea, for example, he wouldn't, I mean, obviously he would know, but he wouldn't be able to fathom how different it is from town to town, from city to city, that not all the teams in the league have a similar affordability. And it's always difficult, like for example with the Glazers, it's very difficult for them to understand that a football club is a different entity. It's not actually supposed to be a business. That's just one example. And we keep going back to Manchester United because they are the number one example anyone can think of when you think of really bad owners. Arsenal fans have had to deal with it, but it recently
I
looks
think
like it's turning.
Liverpool, despite their success, the fans still
Yeah,
are 100%
yeah.
content with their ownership style.
Because they run like it's a franchise, and franchises make money through sales, whereas football on its own is powerful enough that it will sell regardless of how much you business incentivize it. So Liverpool
Yeah.
will sell being a football team, but Americans would like to make money of different ventures that doesn't separate from their football, if you know what I'm trying to say.
But the thing about this Todd Burley guy is when he took over LA Dodgers, and afterwards he said the only way I believe in making a team valuable, the only way I can earn money is by making them win. And that is why I am here to do it. That is what I want to
He
do.
does one drastic similarity is that the Dodgers weren't the Dodgers got even more famous because they're in Los Angeles and Chelsea is in London. So if you do take in how effect of a certain city has, he does have an advantage there because London's the biggest city in England and Los Angeles is the most California is the most talked about state apart from New York or Brooklyn. So yeah, New York in America. So he does, and being an athlete himself, he would have some sort of representation to Chelsea. But regardless of who Chelsea get in, I feel bad for the Chelsea fans because they've been so used to Roman being the A-class owner that he is, the number one, the epitome of all owners, that anything that comes out, step down.
Well, as the saying goes, when you've been spoon-fed all your life, wait, I don't know what to say.
I got what you're trying to say. It's like
Yeah,
if everything
when you're suddenly
delivered
being
on a
told to
plate,
be poor, you can't adjust.
yeah, and that like
it's not
it
even being poor.
really.
It's just about
I'm very sorry to United talk, but your saying works perfectly with United. Like we were spoon-fed with Fergie for 26 years. That the moment he left, everyone realized how shit the club was actually run. And I'm
no,
not saying that would happen to Chelsea. Chelsea have a better structure with, uh, I can never pronounce her name, but Marina.
Granovskaya.
Her, yeah, she's a good structure. They've got a good
But the
system
talk is
there.
she's Russian. She might be forced to leave. Bruce Buck,
Yep.
85 years old, he might be put out. And then, like what happened to United, like when United lost, what was his name? Stuart Gill, I guess.
Yeah. He was the one who ran the entire thing from the background.
Yeah. The moment you lose someone like that, the club loses its structure. So fingers crossed. We hope Marina Granovskaya stays, best director in football, as we all know.
Honestly,
Uh,
it'll be sad if bad happens and Chelsea will face a period of disgruntledness. It'll be really sad because European champions, you don't deserve that to go to happen to them. And I honestly think that this will just give them even more motivation for the remainder of the season. Like it could
yeah,
be.
it has. It has. They've won every game since this was announced. So yeah, it has had
And
a positive
let's
impact on
end.
Chelsea.
Let's end on some positive news for the Chelsea fans. Let's talk about I mean, I'm going to say it in one sentence so we can wrap up this video. Kai Havertz has been incredible. Genuinely insane for the last 2 months. He's been
That's the people who
incredible.
called him flop now.
Oh, he's unbelievable. And I think he's relinquished his false nine role.
Yeah, the amount of hard work he puts in, just insane. Lukaku can't get anywhere near that team now.